In the whispering shadows of ancient palace gardens, where the scent of blooming peonies mingles with the weight of unspoken vows, destiny often weaves its intricate tapestry in the most unexpected ways. In this secluded haven, Prince Li Jihan, a 23-year-old heir to the Joseon throne, wanders beneath the moonlit sky, burdened by the scars of battles fought and lost. Each mark on his skin tells a tale of valor, yet the scars on his heart remain untouched, reminders of the duty that chains him to a life of loneliness and unfulfilled dreams. Just beyond the palace walls, in a modest village where the sun kisses the earth, lives Sujin, a spirited 18-year-old healer whose hands possess the magic of restoration. With each potion brewed and every wound tended, she becomes the light in the lives of those around her. Yet within her, a yearning for adventure and love simmers, waiting for its moment to bloom. When a chance encounter brings the wounded prince to her door, seeking nothing more than a sip of water at dawn, the universe shifts. Their paths, forged by fate's gentle hand, intertwine in a blossoming romance that defies the boundaries set by class and duty. But as their hearts draw closer, the relentless pull of royal obligation threatens to tear them apart. Can they risk everything to pursue a love that seems destined to end in heartache? As the sun rises, illuminating the shadows of their secret meetings, one question lingers in the air. Will love be enough to conquer the weight of their worlds? Or will they be swept away by the currents of duty and expectation? The dawn light spilled softly across the hidden palace garden, where the air was still thick with the fragrance of dew-kissed blossoms and the faint hum of cicadas. Nestled within the lush greenery, a tranquil pond mirrored the awakening sky, its surface shimmering like glass. It was a secret refuge, veiled from the eyes of the court, where the whispers of history mingled with the rustling leaves. Here, amid the vibrant hues of azaleas and chrysanthemums, Sujin meticulously prepared her herbal remedies, her deft hands moving with grace and precision. With a delicate hanbok of soft jade fabric that swayed gently with her movements, she seemed to embody the very essence of nature. Her long hair, woven with strands of jasmine, cascaded like a waterfall down her back. She was the village healer, a guardian of life and comfort. But today her heart beat with an unfamiliar flutter as she sensed a presence, a shadow looming just beyond the garden's entrance. Prince Li Jihan, cloaked in the subdued colors of royal attire, stepped into the garden, his presence a stark contrast to the tranquility surrounding him. The scar that traced his cheek told tales of battles fought and sacrifices made, a testament to the weight of his crown. At 23, he had become a stranger to joy, ensnared by the shackles of duty and expectation. But in that moment, as his gaze caught the light, the burden of his title faded away, if only for a breath. "Forgive my intrusion," he said, his voice low, smooth as the silk of his hanbok. He stepped forward, a hint of vulnerability lacing his words. "I was told a healer dwelled here, and I find myself in need of water." Sujin looked up, startled by the unexpected visitor. Her heart raced, caught between the instinct to retreat and an undeniable curiosity. The prince's eyes, dark and deep like the night sky, held an intensity that set her pulse quickening. "Water?" she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper, as she gestured toward the pond that glimmered invitingly. "You may fill your vessel from there." He approached the edge of the pond, the sunlight catching the scar on his cheek, illuminating the rawness of his history. It was a reminder of the battles he had fought, not only with swords, but also with the expectations that bore down on him like an oppressive weight. As he bent to fill his cup, the water splashed gently, sending ripples across the surface, and for a moment, the world fell silent. "Is it always so peaceful here?" he asked, lifting the cup to his lips, as if testing the truth of her world. "Only if you allow it," she replied, stepping closer, her curiosity blooming. "The garden holds many secrets, but it is the heart that must choose to listen." Jihan turned to meet her gaze, an unspoken understanding passing between them. She was more than just a healer. She was a beacon of warmth in the cold, unyielding corridors of his life. "And what secrets does your heart hold?" he dared to inquire, his voice low, laced with something like hope. Sujin felt her cheeks flush, her resolve wavering under the weight of his gaze. "I am but a simple girl tending to the needs of my village," she replied, her voice steadying. "There are no grand secrets here, only the desire to ease pain and nurture life. Even a simple life can hold extraordinary beauty," he murmured, the distance between them narrowing, the air thickening with tension. "You seem to possess a rare gift, one that can touch the souls of those around you." Her heart swelled with warmth, yet a flicker of apprehension danced in her chest. "You honor me too much, Your Highness," she said, her words carefully chosen, the title feeling foreign on her tongue. "I merely do what is needed." He studied her, the way the sunlight illuminated her delicate features, the softness of her smile, and the determination in her eyes. In that fleeting moment, he felt a connection that transcended the barriers of their worlds, a fragile thread spun from longing and admiration. "Perhaps you would allow me to learn from you," he said, his voice suddenly earnest. "I know little of healing, but I wish to understand more." He could hardly comprehend the depth of his desire to be close to her, to shed the heavy cloak of royalty, and discover the beauty of a life lived simply. Sujin hesitated, aware of the risks that came with such a proposition. "It is a noble endeavor, but the ways of healing are not always gentle. They require patience and understanding, and the heart must be open to both joy and sorrow." "I have known my share of sorrow," he replied, his voice low, filled with unguarded honesty. "Perhaps it is in learning to heal that I might find solace." The vulnerability in his tone touched her deeply, stirring a longing she could scarcely articulate. "Then join me," she said softly, her heart daring to hope. "I can show you the ways of the herbs and the roots, how to coax life from the earth. But you must promise to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart." As he nodded, a tentative smile broke through his usual stoic demeanor, and the warmth of it ignited a spark within her. The world outside the garden faded into obscurity, and for the first time in a long while, Jihan felt the shackles of his royal duties loosen, if only for a moment. Together they moved to a shaded alcove where the sweet scent of ginseng and chamomile filled the air. As they began to prepare the herbs, their fingers brushed against each other, sending electric jolts through the space between them. He watched her deft hands work with precision, her brow furrowing in concentration, and he found himself captivated by the way she seemed to breathe life into the very plants they handled. "What is it that you seek, Princely Jihan?" Sujin asked, her voice steady despite the rapid beating of her heart. "In this quest for knowledge, what do you truly wish to find?" He paused, the question hanging heavily in the air. "I seek a reason to breathe, to live beyond the confines of my title. I long for something real, something that connects me to this world, to those who inhabit it." Her breath hitched at his words, the raw honesty drawing her closer to him, the distance between their worlds shrinking with each shared moment. She could see the shadows that lingered in his eyes, the weight he bore in silence. "Then let us weave a tapestry of healing together," she offered, her heart daring to embrace the intimacy of their connection. But even as their worlds intertwined, the sound of distant hoofbeats echoed through the garden, a reminder of the responsibilities that loomed just beyond the sanctuary they had created. The moment shattered like fragile glass, the promise of their burgeoning bond clashing with the reality of his existence. In that instant, as the sun rose higher and the palace guards approached, Jihan felt the sharp pang of his impending return to duty. He turned his gaze toward the entrance, where the figures clad in armor moved with a purpose, and a sense of urgency clutched at his heart. "I must go," he said, regret painting his voice, but his eyes lingered on hers, unwilling to sever the connection they had forged. "But I will return." Sujin's heart sank, her pulse racing as she sensed the weight of fate bearing down on them. "Promise me you will not forget this place," she implored, her voice trembling with unspoken emotions. "Promise me you will return." "I promise," he vowed, the sincerity in his gaze igniting a flicker of hope within her. And as the guards' shadows stretched across the garden floor, their moment became a fragile whisper, a thread of possibility woven into the fabric of their lives, a promise that lingered like the morning mist, holding the promise of what was yet to come. As the guards ushered Prince Li Jihan away, the sound of their armor clinking echoed in Sujin's heart, each note a painful reminder of the gulf that lay between them. She stood in the garden, the fragrant herbs still cradled in her hands, and watched him retreat, a figure of grace and sorrow, draped in the weight of his title. The sunlight streamed through the leaves, dappling her skin, but it could not warm the chill that seeped into her bones. Days turned into weeks, each sunrise a reminder of his absence, each sunset a longing that deepened like the twilight shadows. The royal court buzzed with whispers of the prince's impending return to duties, and with it came the weight of expectation. Pressure built around Jihan, the constraints of royal life tightening their grip. Yet in his heart, the memory of Sujin's laughter lingered like the sweet scent of jasmine on a warm summer night. It was during one of those interminable court gatherings, where ornate silk banners hung like glistening jewels, and the air was thick with the fragrance of incense, that he found himself drifting in thought. The council debated strategies for securing alliances, voices rising and falling in a discordant symphony of ambition. Yet all he could think of was the gentle curve of Sujin's smile, the way her eyes sparkled with unguarded hope. That evening, after the court had dispersed, he slipped away from the royal palace under the cover of dusk, determined to find her once more. The path to her garden felt like a pilgrimage, each step taken in reverence of the connection they had forged. The moon hung low, casting silver light across the path, and as he approached, he felt the flutter of anticipation in his chest. Sujin was kneeling among her herbs, hands buried in the earth, the moonlight illuminating her figure like an ethereal vision. When she looked up, her eyes widened, and a smile broke through her initial surprise, lighting up her face like the dawn itself. "You returned," she exclaimed, brushing her hands on her apron as she stood. "I promised," he said simply, stepping closer, captivated by the way her presence drew him in. They stood in the quiet of the garden, surrounded by the chorus of crickets, a world unto themselves. The air was thick with the scent of chamomile and the lingering sweetness of summer blooms, a backdrop for the unspoken words that hung between them. "I feared you would not," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper, yet laden with a vulnerability that made his heart ache. "The court is a weighty place, is it not?" "It is," he replied, stepping closer still, the distance between them shrinking with each breath. "But it is far heavier without the warmth of your spirit to guide me." The honesty in his voice caused her breath to catch, and she felt a blush rise to her cheeks. As they resumed their work with the herbs, the intimacy of their shared silence grew, punctuated only by the soft rustle of leaves and the occasional trill of a nightingale. Jihan watched her, enraptured as she taught him the delicate art of binding the plants into a remedy. Each time their fingers brushed, a spark ignited, and he marveled at the way she moved, so connected to the earth, as if the soil spoke to her in a language he had yet to learn. "Sujin," he said softly, breaking the tender silence, "tell me about your life. What is it like to be you, to live among these herbs and the roots of the earth?" A shadow passed over her features and she hesitated, the weight of her truth heavy in the air. "It is not without its struggles," she confessed, her voice trembling. "I am just a healer in a world that often overlooks the simple joys of life. Many consider me beneath them, a mere servant of nature, and it pains me to know that my gifts are often dismissed." Her gaze dropped to the ground, and Jihan could feel the ache of her loneliness, the sting of unworthiness. "Your gifts are extraordinary," he said, his tone firm, as if his words could chase away the darkness that clouded her heart. "You have the power to heal, to bring life back to those who suffer. That is a rare and beautiful thing." She looked up, surprise mingling with the flicker of hope in her eyes. "You see me," she whispered, the vulnerability in her voice striking a chord deep within him. "No one has ever seen me the way you do." "It is because you allow me to see you," he replied, stepping even closer, the space between them now almost non-existent. The tension hung like a taut thread, ready to snap at any moment, yet neither moved away. "You have opened your heart to me, and in doing so, you have awakened something in me that I thought lost." With a courage that surprised them both, he reached out and tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, the simple touch igniting a warmth that spread through her body. "I want to know you, all of you," he murmured, his gaze locked onto hers, the world around them falling away. But just as the moment hung in the balance, the distant sound of hooves echoed through the night, a sharp reminder of the world waiting just beyond the garden gates. The tension shattered, leaving an ache of unfulfilled promise in its wake. "I cannot stay long," Jihan said, his voice low, shadowed by the impending reality of his duties. "The council." "Then you must go," Sujin said, her voice steady despite the rush of emotion swirling within her. "You are a prince after all. Your world demands you. But I wish to be here, with you," he confessed, anguish threading through his words. "Every moment I spend in that court is a moment stolen from what could be. I feel torn between duty and desire." "Desire cannot change your fate, Jihan," she replied, her heart heavy with the truth of it. "You must navigate your path as I must mine. Our worlds are not meant to intertwine." Yet even as she spoke, her heart clenched at the thought of their separation. The dream of a life spent together felt more distant than ever, yet the connection they shared refused to fade. In that moment, as they stood in the moonlit garden, surrounded by the blooms that seemed to sigh with longing, they both knew that what they had was precious, even if fleeting. "Promise me something," Jihan said, his eyes earnest and deep. "Promise me you will continue to heal, to nurture this world around you, and do not let the shadows of others dim your light." "I promise," she said softly, her heart swelling with the weight of his words. "And you, promise me you will seek your own path, one that honors your heart." "I promise," he echoed, his voice a vow that transcended their circumstances. And as the last sliver of moonlight dipped below the horizon, they stood together, two souls bound by a promise, a flicker of hope ignited against the vastness of their separate worlds. But as Jihan turned to leave, a lingering glance over his shoulder, he knew this was not the end. It was merely the beginning of a journey fraught with challenges and desires that would demand their courage and strength. The path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, but one thing remained clear: their hearts would forever seek the other, and in that pursuit, they would find a love that defied the boundaries of their birthright. As the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, Jihan felt the weight of the world settle upon his shoulders once more. The sounds of the palace echoed in his mind, the whispers of courtiers and the laughter of nobles mingling with the memories of Sujin's gentle presence. He had returned to the royal court, yet his heart remained tangled in the moonlit garden, where petals had danced like soft whispers against the night air. Days turned into weeks, and each time Jihan stepped into the court, he felt a growing chasm between his duties and the dreams that blossomed in his heart. The council had convened, deliberating over alliances and politics, their voices rising like the waves of the sea, crashing against the shores of his resolve. Every time he caught sight of the ornate silk banners fluttering in the breeze, a part of him yearned to flee, to escape to the secluded herbal garden where Sujin tended to her plants with the same care one would give a lover. Sujin too felt the ache of their separation, the quiet moments of solitude stretching long into the night as she immersed herself in her work. Each root she dug, each herb she dried, felt imbued with the essence of their stolen moments together. Yet the whispers of the village grew louder, murmurs of a healer who dared to dream of something more, who foolishly nurtured feelings for a prince. The fear of judgment shadowed her every action, a reminder that in a world dominated by status, her heart's longing could be her undoing. But it was during the festival of Chuseok, the celebration of the harvest moon, that fate conspired to draw them together once more. Lanterns hung like stars against the night sky, illuminating the streets of Hanyang, where laughter and music intertwined with the scent of freshly prepared rice cakes. Jihan had been instructed to attend, his role as the crown prince demanding his presence among the dignitaries and nobles. Yet as he walked through the sea of colors and gaiety, his heart drifted to the quiet solace of the garden. His eyes roamed the crowd, searching for the familiar glow of her presence. Dressed in a hanbok of deep indigo, her sleeves brushing against the delicate embroidery, she stood beneath a blooming cherry blossom tree, a vision of serenity amidst the vibrant chaos. The sight of her sent a rush of warmth through him, igniting the embers of longing that had smoldered in his chest. Sujin had come to the festival with a small group of fellow healers, their laughter punctuating the night as they shared stories and roasted chestnuts over an open flame. Yet her heart was not fully present among them, for she felt the pull of his gaze even from afar. When their eyes met, it was as though the world around them faded into a gentle blur, the voices of the festival dissolving into a melody that only they could hear. Jihan, unable to resist, navigated through the crowd, his heart pounding like the drums of the festival. When he reached her side, the joy in her eyes was eclipsed only by the surprise that danced across her features. "Sujin," he breathed, his voice a soft caress against the din of the celebration. "You are here." "Jihan," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper laced with wonder. "I did not think I would see you tonight." "Neither did I," he admitted, the tension of the court momentarily forgotten. "But I had to find you." Their hands brushed, and the contact sent a jolt of electricity through both of them. It was a brief touch, yet it ignited a flame of intimacy that had grown quietly over their secret encounters. With the festival swirling around them, they stepped away from the crowd, seeking the refuge of the quieter pathways lined with lanterns. "Do you remember the last time we promised?" Jihan asked, his tone serious yet tender, as they settled beneath a willow tree, its branches draping like soft curtains around them. "I do," she replied, her heart racing. "You wanted me to continue healing, and I will. But I fear our worlds are still too far apart." Her words trembled with the truth of her fears, the reality of their situation looming like a shadow. "Let me share your world," he urged, stepping closer, the warmth radiating from him enveloping her. "I want to be part of your life, even if only for moments at a time." "But what of your duties?" she pressed, the weight of their societal roles pressing heavily upon her heart. "You are a prince, Jihan. Your path is laid out for you. You cannot simply abandon it. Do you think I have not thought of that?" His voice was thick with emotion. "Every moment I spend in the court, I feel as though I am losing a part of myself. I want to fight for what we have, but I do not know how." Sujin searched his eyes, the depth of his sincerity wrapping around her like a warm embrace. "If you wish to fight, then we must be cautious," she replied, her voice steady despite the tumult inside her. "There are those who would see our connection as a weakness, a scandal to exploit." "Let them come," he said fiercely, his determination igniting a flicker of hope within her. "I will protect you, Sujin. I promise you that." Their gazes locked, and in that moment the world around them faded, leaving only the two of them wrapped in their fragile bond. She saw the man behind the title, the vulnerability masked by the armor of his birthright, and felt her own defenses begin to crumble. The air thickened with unspoken promises, the tension lingering like the last notes of a haunting melody. But as the festival continued around them, a sudden commotion broke their reverie. Shouts echoed through the crowd, and Jihan's heart raced as he turned to see a group of royal guards, their armor gleaming ominously in the lantern light, moving toward them with purpose. "We must go," he said urgently, pulling her close, the urgency of the moment piercing the bubble of intimacy they had created. "If they find us together, I understand," she replied, her heart sinking as she realized the danger they faced. The guards were not merely there for protection, they were also the enforcers of the court's will, and their presence threatened to shatter the fragile dream they had begun to weave. As they slipped away into the shadows, Jihan's mind raced with plans. He had to find a way to protect Sujin and their burgeoning love, even if it meant defying the very world he had been raised to lead. They were two souls entwined against the odds, and he felt an unyielding resolve to keep her safe. For now, they would navigate the labyrinth of duty and desire, but Jihan was determined that their story would not end here. No matter the obstacles, he would seek her out, for love, once ignited, could not be snuffed out by the darkness of the world around them. And as they hurried away, hearts beating in unison, they knew that every challenge faced would only serve to strengthen the bond they were forging, a bond that could defy fate itself. They fled through the narrow alleys of the festival, the vibrant hues of lanterns and the melodies of traditional drums fading into the background, as they sought refuge in the hushed embrace of the night. Jihan held Sujin's hand tightly, his heart pounding not just from the urgency of their escape, but from the electric connection that surged between them. The cool night air brushed against their skin, carrying the scent of blooming mugunghwa, the national flower, mingling with the distant laughter of festival-goers celebrating love and unity. "Here," Jihan said, guiding her into a secluded courtyard adorned with a magnificent stone pagoda. The intricate carvings of cranes and lotus flowers seemed to whisper stories of endurance and beauty, echoing their own fragile yet burgeoning connection. As they stepped into the moonlight, the glow illuminated Sujin's face, revealing the delicate features that had haunted his dreams. He marveled at how the soft light caught her hair, creating an ethereal halo that made his heart swell. "We'll be safe here for a moment," he assured her, trying to steady his breath. Yet even in this moment of respite, the weight of their reality pressed heavily upon them. "I can't believe we were almost caught." Sujin leaned against the stone wall, her fingers still entwined with his. "What if they find out?" she whispered, a tremor of fear lacing her voice. "What if they come for you?" "They will not take me from you," he replied, his voice firm, though a flicker of doubt crossed his mind. The court was a cruel place, and the stakes of their connection were dangerously high. "Not when I have so much to fight for." She looked up at him, her dark eyes wide with uncertainty, yet filled with a glimmer of hope. "And what is it that you fight for, Jihan?" she asked, searching his face for answers, for a glimpse into the depths of his heart. "A title? A throne?" "No," he replied, shaking his head with a fervent intensity. "I fight for you. For us. I have spent too long fulfilling the expectations of others, living a life that feels like a gilded cage." His voice softened, and he stepped closer, his breath hitching at the vulnerability laid bare between them. "You have shown me a world outside of duty, a life where I can be myself. I want to know what it is to love freely, to be loved in return." Tears pricked at the corners of Sujin's eyes, and she blinked them away, overwhelmed by the sincerity of his words. "But what of your responsibilities, your family, your future?" Each question felt like a weight pressing down on her heart, but she could not ignore the growing desire to leap into the unknown with him. "I will find a way to balance them," he vowed, his voice imbued with a fierce determination that ignited her spirit. "If I must choose between the crown and the life we could share, I will choose you." The moonlight seemed to shimmer in response to his declaration, casting a spell of longing around them. Their hands remained intertwined, and in that moment, the distance created by their worlds shrank, allowing them to breathe in the closeness they both craved. Jihan's gaze wandered to the small intricacies of her face, how her brow furrowed with concern, how her lips parted slightly, as if inviting him closer. It was intoxicating, the way she captivated him entirely. As if reading his thoughts, Sujin took a tentative step forward, the distance between them closing in a heartbeat. "What if we could escape this place, just for a night? Just to be together, away from the eyes of the court?" Her voice was almost a whisper, laced with a combination of hope and fear. Jihan's heart raced at the thought. "Where would we go?" he asked, the idea of freedom igniting his imagination. "The Han River," she breathed, her eyes brightening with the possibility. "The moonlight dances on the water, and the city fades into the background. We could share stories, dreams, and perhaps a moment of peace." The thought was intoxicating, yet the reality of their situation loomed over them like a storm cloud. "It is risky," he warned, his brow furrowing as he considered the potential repercussions. "If we are discovered." "Then let it be a risk worth taking," she interrupted, her voice steady. "I have lived in the shadows for too long, Jihan. I want to feel alive, to feel your presence beside me." He felt the weight of her words settle in his heart, a bond forming between them that transcended the confines of their reality. "Very well," he said, his resolve firming. "We shall go to the river." As they slipped away from the courtyard, the streets were empty, the festival's joyous sounds replaced by the rustling of leaves and the gentle lapping of the river against the shore. The moon hung high, casting a silver sheen over everything, and it felt as though the night had conspired to grant them this stolen moment. When they reached the riverbank, the world around them seemed to hush, as if holding its breath in anticipation. Jihan spread a blanket on the grass and they sat side by side, the cool breeze caressing their skin. The water sparkled like 1,000 stars, and the beauty of it all took her breath away. "Isn't it beautiful?" Sujin murmured, her gaze fixed on the shimmering surface. "Not as beautiful as you," Jihan replied softly, turning to meet her eyes. The sincerity in his gaze made her heart flutter, and for a moment, the weight of their lives faded away. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams, and with each moment they revealed pieces of themselves that had remained hidden beneath layers of duty and expectation. Jihan spoke of his childhood, of the time he had spent chasing butterflies in the palace gardens, longing for the freedom they embodied. Sujin shared her dreams of becoming a healer, of tending to the sick and restoring life where there was despair. They spoke of their hopes, their fears, and their visions for a future that seemed as distant as the stars above. As the night deepened, Jihan's heart raced as he felt the warmth of her shoulder against his. The air was thick with unspoken emotions, and the way their fingers brushed against each other sent shivers down his spine. Time slipped away, and he leaned closer, captivated by the way her eyes sparkled under the moonlight. "Jihan," Sujin whispered, breaking the comfortable silence. "Do you think we can ever truly be together?" He turned to her, the vulnerability in her gaze striking him to his core. "I believe we can," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "But we must tread carefully. The court will not accept us easily." "But I do not want to hide," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I want to stand beside you, to fight for what we have." "Then we shall fight together," he vowed, his heart swelling with determination. "I will not let our love be diminished by the expectations of others." In that moment, the distance between them vanished completely. Jihan leaned in, their lips barely inches apart, and he could feel her breath mingling with his. Time seemed to stand still as he searched her eyes, seeking permission, a sign that this was what they both wanted. Sujin, her heart racing with anticipation, closed the distance. Their lips met softly, a gentle brush that sent a shockwave of warmth through them both. It was a kiss that spoke of longing and promise, of dreams yet to be realized. The world around them faded, and in that moment they were no longer bound by their titles or their fears. They were simply two souls intertwined in a dance as old as time. When they finally pulled away, breathless and wide-eyed, the reality of their circumstances came crashing back. The weight of their world loomed over them, but in that fragile instant, they knew they had taken the first step toward a love that could withstand the storms ahead. With hearts entwined and hopes ignited, they returned to the shadows, ready to face whatever trials lay ahead, determined to carve out a space for their love in a world that sought to keep them apart. The path before them was fraught with danger, but in each other, they had found the strength to navigate the labyrinthine court and the depths of their own hearts. Together, they would write their own story, one filled with courage, sacrifice, and love that could shine through even the darkest of nights. As the first light of dawn began to break over the horizon, painting the sky in delicate hues of pink and gold, Jihan and Sujin found themselves back at the edge of the palace grounds, their hearts still racing from the kiss that had altered the course of their lives. The night had been a fragile sanctuary, a secret hideaway where they could momentarily escape the expectations tethered to their hearts. But now, as they stood on the cusp of day, the weight of their realities returned with a chilling clarity. The air was crisp, and the scent of dew-kissed grass mingled with the sweet fragrance of cherry blossoms that lined the courtyard. The festival, which had seemed so vibrant just hours before, felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the unyielding demands of duty that awaited them. Jihan stole a glance at Su-jin, her features illuminated by the soft morning light, and he couldn't help but marvel at her resilience even in the face of uncertainty. "We must be cautious," he murmured, taking her hand in his. The warmth of her palm against his sent a rush of comfort through him, but the reality of their situation loomed like a dark cloud overhead. The court will be watching, and they will not hesitate to take action if they sense something amiss. Su-jin's brow furrowed, a flicker of fear crossing her face. "What if they try to keep us apart?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper, as if speaking the words aloud would solidify the threat. "I cannot bear the thought of losing you." Jihan tightened his grip on her hand, feeling the tremor of her uncertainty seep into his own heart. "You won't lose me," he reassured her, his eyes steady and firm. "We will find a way to navigate this together. You are my light in the darkness, and I will do everything in my power to protect you." As they exchanged vows of loyalty, a sudden rustle in the garden broke their moment of intimacy. Jihan's body tensed, instinctively drawing Su-jin closer to him, shielding her from the prying eyes of the palace. In the distance, the sound of footsteps echoed, and the royal guards began their morning rounds, their armor glinting ominously in the early sunlight. "Go back inside," Jihan urged, his voice low but urgent. "I will speak with them." Su-jin hesitated, her heart aching at the thought of separation. "But trust me," he said, his gaze fierce yet tender. "I will not let them harm you." With a heavy heart, Su-jin nodded, stepping back reluctantly. She watched as he walked toward the guards, his posture strong and confident despite the turmoil brewing within him. Her chest tightened, a storm of worry and pride swirling inside as she turned to slip back into the safety of the palace. Inside, the walls felt oppressive, each corner echoing with the whispers of those who believed themselves to be lords and ladies of destiny. The corridors were adorned with fine silk banners, each representing the noble families who vied for favor within the court. Yet, none of the opulence could distract her from the gnawing anxiety that gripped her heart. Days turned into weeks, and as the festival faded into memory, the tension between Jihan and Su-jin grew palpable, like the heavy humidity before a summer storm. Each stolen glance, each brush of their hands during chance encounters, was a reminder of the love they dared to nurture, yet the distance imposed by their roles loomed ever larger. Su-jin immersed herself in her healing practices, spending long hours in the herb garden, hoping that the rhythm of her work would soothe her restless heart. She gathered medicinal plants with delicate fingers, their fragrances filling the air with earthy notes. The garden was a haven for her, a place where she felt most connected to her dreams of helping others. Yet every time the breeze rustled the leaves, it carried with it the sound of her longing for Jihan, and she found herself glancing over her shoulder, half expecting him to appear. One afternoon, as she tended to the roots of a particularly stubborn ginseng plant, she heard the familiar rustling of fabric behind her. Her heart leaped, and she turned, a smile breaking across her face as she caught sight of him. Jihan stood at the entrance of the garden, his eyes filled with warmth, though they also bore the shadows of unspoken burdens. "Your garden flourishes as beautifully as you do," he said, stepping forward, his presence igniting a spark of joy within her. "Jihan," she breathed, dropping her tools to rush into his arms. He enveloped her in a warm embrace, and for a moment the world melted away, leaving only the steady rhythm of their hearts. But as they pulled apart, the gravity of their reality crashed down again. "I have news," he said, the weight of his voice betraying the struggle behind his words. "The court is restless. They suspect something." Su-jin's heart sank, the fear she had tried to suppress rising like a tide within her. "What will they do?" "They wish to arrange a marriage for me," he said, his eyes clouded with frustration. a union that would secure an alliance with the House of Yi. The word struck her like a physical blow. She took a step back, her breath catching in her throat. "But what about us?" "They do not understand what we share," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "They see only politics and power, but I will not let them dictate my heart." "But what can we do?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You are a prince bound by duty. I am merely a healer, a nobody in the eyes of the court." "Do not say that," he said fiercely, stepping closer, his gaze piercing into hers. "You are everything to me. I will fight for us, for our love, but it will require sacrifice." Sujin felt the weight of his words settle heavily on her chest. "What kind of sacrifice?" He took a deep breath, the vulnerability in his expression laying bare the storm within him. "Perhaps I must renounce my claim to the throne. It is a path fraught with danger, but I would rather live freely with you than be a puppet in a gilded cage." Tears brimmed in Sujin's eyes as she processed his words, her heart breaking at the thought of him giving up everything for her. "Jihan, you cannot. You were born to lead, to protect your people. It is not just your life at stake." "And what of yours?" he countered, his voice rising with fervor. "Can you bear the thought of living a life where we are never truly free? I would rather have the freedom to love you than to wear a crown that weighs me down." Sujin's heart surged with emotion, her mind racing as she considered the implications of his words. "But the court will never allow it. They will see us as a threat, and we will face their wrath." Jihan's expression softened, his hand reaching to cup her cheek. "Then we must find a way to turn their wrath into acceptance. We must show them that our love is stronger than the chains of tradition. Together we can navigate this, I promise." As she looked into his eyes, the fierce determination reflected in them filled her with both hope and fear. Love was indeed a powerful force, capable of dismantling the walls erected by society, but it was also a dangerous game that could lead to ruin. "Let us fight together," she said, her voice steadying with resolve. "I will not let fear dictate our fate. If we are to face the court, we shall do so as allies, united in our cause." Jihan's lips curved into a proud smile, and in that moment, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm golden light across the garden. It illuminated their path, a symbol of the new journey they would embark on, filled with uncertainty, yet brimming with the promise of love. As they stood together, hand in hand, surrounded by the vibrant blooms of the herb garden, they felt a sense of belonging that transcended the confines of their world. They were two souls intertwined, ready to defy the odds and carve out their destiny. For love was worth every battle they would face. Together they would write their own story, one that would echo through the annals of history, a tale of passion, courage, and unwavering devotion. As the days turned into weeks, the tension at the palace grew palpable. The whisperings of discontent echoed through the halls. Yet amidst the chaos, Sujin and Jihan stood resolute, their hearts intertwined, drawing strength from one another. They knew that love alone would not silence the court's clamor. They needed to forge a path that blended passion with purpose. In the heart of the kingdom, where gilded gates and silken banners adorned the palace, a plan took shape. They would host a grand festival, a celebration of unity that would bring the court and the common folk together. It was an audacious idea, but Sujin and Jihan believed that if they could showcase the beauty of their love and the strength it could bring to the kingdom, perhaps they could shift the tide of opinion in their favor. The day of the festival dawned bright and clear, the sky a brilliant canvas of azure, dotted with fluffy clouds that drifted lazily by. The fragrant scent of cherry blossoms filled the air, as the palace grounds transformed into a vibrant tapestry of color and sound. Lanterns hung from the trees, each glowing softly as evening approached, while the laughter of children and the music of traditional instruments melded into a harmonious symphony of joy. Sujin wore a hanbok of deep crimson, intricately embroidered with golden peonies, a symbol of prosperity and love. The fabric flowed around her like water, making her appear ethereal, as if she had stepped out of a dream. Her heart raced as she awaited Jihan's arrival, anticipation swirling within her like the delicate petals dancing in the breeze. Jihan appeared at the entrance, resplendent in royal robes that shimmered with every movement. The prince looked regal, yet in his eyes, the warmth and adoration he held for Sujin eclipsed all royal grandeur. The sight of him sent a thrill through her, igniting a fire of hope in her chest. As they met in the center of the gathering, the murmurs of the court quieted, eyes turning to witness the couple who dared to challenge tradition. Jihan took Sujin's hand, and as he raised it to his lips, the gesture spoke volumes, a promise of unwavering devotion, of a bond that transcended the weight of duty and expectation. "My people," Jihan began, his voice resonating across the crowd. "Today we gather not only to celebrate a festival, but to embrace a new dawn. Love, true love, can heal wounds deeper than any sword. It can bridge the divides between our hearts and our duties." Sujin's breath caught in her throat as she listened, pride swelling within her. Jihan continued, his words weaving through the crowd like a gentle breeze. "I stand before you not just as a prince, but as a man willing to lay down the crown for the sake of love. I choose Sujin, not only because she is my heart, but because she embodies the spirit of our kingdom, compassionate, brave, and wise." A ripple of surprise surged through the gathered crowd, but where there had once been skepticism, there now blossomed the seeds of understanding. The common folk began to cheer, their voices rising in support, while the nobles exchanged uneasy glances, their minds grappling with the implications of his declaration. "And I too choose this path," Sujin added, stepping forward with newfound confidence. "Love is not a weakness, it is our strength. Together, we can bring forth a new era where compassion reigns, where the voices of the people are heard, and where we unite as one kingdom." At that moment, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the gathering. As dusk enveloped the palace, lanterns flickered to life, illuminating their faces with a soft glow. The festival erupted into a celebration of unity, with music echoing through the night, and laughter spilling like sweet wine. Days turned into weeks, and the whispers of discontent transformed into a chorus of acceptance. Jihan's bravery and Sujin's compassion began to reshape the kingdom's views. They met with the council, listened to the concerns of the people, and slowly, with patience and understanding, they forged a new path, one where love and duty could coexist harmoniously. Finally, the day arrived when they would unite in marriage. The palace was adorned with exquisite decorations, each detail a testament to their love. The scent of jasmine filled the air, mingling with the fragrance of roasted chestnuts and sweet rice cakes. Guests from all walks of life gathered to witness the union that had once seemed impossible. Sujin stood at the altar, her heart racing as she awaited Jihan's arrival. He appeared like a vision, his eyes sparkling with love, clad in a majestic hanbok that reflected the royal colors of their kingdom. As he approached her, time seemed to slow, the world narrowing down to just the two of them. "Today, I vow to you my heart, my soul, and my unwavering devotion," he said, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "You have shown me the true meaning of love, and I promise to cherish and protect you for all my days." Tears of joy filled Sujin's eyes as she responded, "And I vow to stand by your side, to support you as we lead our kingdom with love and compassion. Together, we will create a legacy that honors not just our love, but the hearts of our people." As they exchanged rings, simple yet elegant bands symbolizing their commitment, a hush fell over the assembly. The air crackled with anticipation, and in that moment, a spark ignited, illuminating the path before them. With their hands intertwined, Jihan and Sujin turned to face their guests, and as they shared their first kiss as a married couple, a wave of applause erupted, reverberating through the night. It was a celebration not only of their love, but of hope, a testament to what could be achieved when hearts dared to defy the expectations of tradition. As the festivities continued, laughter and joy filling the air, Sujin and Jihan took a moment to breathe, gazing into each other's eyes, recognizing the journey they had undertaken together. "Do you think we can truly change the kingdom?" Sujin asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jihan smiled, brushing a stray hair from her face. With love as our foundation, we can change anything. The stars twinkled above them, a reminder of the dreams yet to be fulfilled. Hand in hand, they walked into the future, their hearts beating in unison. A promise of love that would echo through generations, transforming their kingdom, one heart at a time.